Hey everyone, Matt here. It is Wednesday. That is the main event time where we go over our main topics for the week. So if you're watching or listening, this is the meat and potatoes of the episode. If we happen to have any news to discuss as well, that's where we'll talk about it here. For the full episode, check us out on Saturdays. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt Clausen from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel, joined by RJ from Do You Take Cards? RJ, how are you today?
I'm good. I have finally recovered from the worst football game I have ever seen, ever, because
That's fair. I was really only concerned about the halftime show, and I don't really care who played. And then 60 points got scored somehow. So, hey, these things happen. We're also joined by Tariq from Reek's Rewards. Tariq, how are you today?
It was a 3-day weekend for me, and I'm tired. I need a weekend where I just don't do anything. And I guess I'm at that stage in my life because this sucks. I'm tired of being tired, man.
You don't even know the half of it.
You ain't tired yet, bruh. You ain't
Yeah.
tired yet.
You ain't even remotely tired.
I know I don't
Man.
have one of those little crotch garlands that keep you up at night, but like I'm not even looking forward. Like I am, but I'm not. This sucks.
That even without that, if you tired at your age right now, I'm sorry what's coming in 10, 15 years, bruh.
Yeah.
I would love to be as tired as you are. I don't even know how tired you are, but it ain't as tired as I am.
Speaking of
Getting old
tired,
sucks.
yes. You're saying that to a podcast where half of the co-hosts threw their back out last week.
Oh my god!
I sneezed.
I lifted as you called them, crotch goblin. So yeah. And finally, just as tired as Tariq claims to be, we've got Lani from the Call Me Lani YouTube channel. Unless, Lani, you're not tired this week?
No, I'm still tired. Don't get it twisted. I'm in a perpetual state of tired. It's just always tired. It's just levels of tired where it's like happy tired and tired. Yeah. But I did not throw my back out because I like to pick up heavy things and put them back down. I actually keep a weight that's slightly heavier than my son in my office. And I sometimes do squats and just pick it up. So, because I knew what I was getting myself into. But fun fact story. One, I hate McDonald's, but when a clutch comes into a clutch and he likes chicken nuggets, we had to pull over and get him a Happy Meal. They got this Pokemon thing going on right now where his Happy Meal ended up giving us a $70 Pokemon card. So you want to talk about overvaluing itself. I'm not even into Pokemon. It just looked important. So I scanned it and checked the internet. Yeah, this sucker, people are buying this thing for like 60, 70, 80 bucks on eBay. So that's my weekend.
So you got money back? You have effective money back for the Happy Meal? The Happy Meal paid you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I'm loving it.
I am happy with the Happy Meal.
Let me just say, until we get a check from McDonald's, I don't know that I'm going to be saying the words, their catchphrase. And we'll move over to our news roundup and topics. News roundup, no news this week. It's another dead week. Unless, was there anything of specific import?
Q1 mid-February. There's not going to be anything for a couple weeks, guys.
Yeah.
We are dry in the news category. But
yeah.
There's a transfer bonus on Chase to Marriott. A 50% transfer bonus. So cool. But yeah, nothing.
No, I'm not expecting anything to drop until probably April 16th because these credit card companies aren't going to do nothing knowing that all this people got to spend all this money anyway. Like they're not going to give us these free perks and benefits. So I'm thinking like April, May, especially right pre-summer, we're going to see a lot of news, a lot of changes, a lot of good offers. But like there's no point to really like do a really strong offer or inflated welcome offer right now because we just get it and insta win paying taxes. So That's that's my thought. That's my 2 cents on what's going on right now.
No, that makes sense. You can do some category changes or some revamps in the meantime, but yeah, it doesn't make sense before April. So yeah, we'll jump into our topics then, since news does not exist. We're going to start with RJ this week.
So, my question is, if you woke up tomorrow, you still have all of the same cards, all of that is exactly the same, but all of your point totals were drained. How would you go amass points again? Because in this scenario, you're not really going to go out and just get, all right, I'm going to get this card, and this card, because you either have those cards already and have already gotten the sign up bonus. So you don't really have that avenue. Um, there might be some personal experience in this for me. Who's to say? But I'm just curious about how you would. Would you just spend on your cards, do your stack, and spend the rest of the year just sort of rebuilding your point totals? Or would you do a different route? Tariq, I'm going to go to you first for this one.
Cards have pretty good categories on them, so I would realistically just spend that my back to my usual normal spend and ride it out. Probably just wouldn't be doing a lot of point redemptions because I don't have many points. So it may take some time. Um, can't really open up any new cards, at least on Chase side. They've already said hell no multiple times. They told my girlfriend, nice try, but we see the address, you're not slick. So yeah. I mean, maybe the build card, just because that's not Chase, and they might say maybe. But for the most part, it's just my usual normal everyday spend and do this weird thing called have patience. Ugh. So yeah, there's that.
Are you suggesting patience, sir?
It's
Uh,
weird coming from Tariq.
It
it's
really is.
mostly because it's forced against my will. I have no choice. So yeah.
Lani,
Forced in the garden.
king of the stack. Would you just be, would you do a stacks that would make Bruce Lee go, you know what? Here, have my crown.
Yeah, yeah, I would instantly be like water in this scenario. Um, it might actually be slightly refreshing, to be honest, and I'll get to that part in a second. But I wouldn't do too much different. I'll just continue using my plan A strategy, the way that I point stack everyday spin as is. And I'll be, I don't want to say I'll be like right back to normal, right back to where I'm at, but I might have 6-figure accounts in the end of the year if I had everything reset at zero. Um, I'm not being like prideful and being humble, real honestly, like getting 10,000, 20,000 points or miles in a month across my, different things is normal for me, especially like this first, we've talked about the first quarter of the year. Matt knows we definitely talked about. I have a whole strategy for the first 3 months of the year, and it just works for me. And I make out like a bandit until April 16th. Literally, I make out like a bandit because I have everything. I know all my stuff is coming. All my big spend of the year is coming in those first 90 days. And so I plan out against it, and then I just chill and start buying my stuff as regular or whatever. Now, the second part that I mentioned I'll come back to is I'd probably downsize if I woke up tomorrow and everything's at zero, only because starting last year, I was the first time I got into hotel cards, and now I have two. I've started to see the actual benefits of that. Now, that doesn't change anything. I'm still going to pick my partners. My airline is still my airline, but my hotels, instead of going through my United miles, I'd probably focus on my IHG or my Hilton, one of the two, if not both. And then my other cards, if they don't fit into that, which everything fits in, my synergies, I can't say that everything fits in. I would just, going back to the first part, I would just spend as normal because it all just kind of works after that. And I'll just get all that stuff back. And now, after, I got a free night reward coming from my HG. I got free night rewards coming from Hilton. It'll just be like normal at that point. I probably wouldn't need my platinum card anymore though. Tonight might be Amex night, y'all. We're gonna get on Amex the way that we used to get on Built. Tonight's just Amex's turn. It's about time.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll go that hard. Matt, how would you rebuild things? Are you a patient man, or would you, take a look at a few subs? Would you perhaps get a JetBlue card that you absolutely hate if it had an elevated sub, for instance, to rebuild that JetBlue stash?
So I'll take the I won't necessarily take that bait, but in order to rebuild my JetBlue stash quickly, I would just wait for a bonus on point buying with JetBlue. It may be 1.27 cents per point, and like, ooh, it's 1.27 cents per point, but you get 120% bonus on point purchase. If I got zero, I'm gonna buy the points. I'm gonna generate the point. I'm gonna generate points on the purchase. I'm going to generate the points that I need to generate with JetBlue to do that. And I'm going to throw it through Top Cashback and get an extra 2.52% cashback using points.com. I'm going to purchase the JetBlue points. Chase, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to continue to use my cards as normal. I will try to add more Chase shopping portal into my life in that instance, just so that, I could weave that little bit of magic that could turn 1.5 into 4.5 or 6.5 or whatever. If there's things at Staples that I need to purchase, I will see if there's an offer to stack in the Chase portal, and I'll use the Chase in cash. That way, if it's 2 points per dollar extra or 3 points per dollar extra, I'm going to get 8 points per dollar. So those I'm going to be pretty patient on. Wells Fargo, I'm also going to be. I've been forever patient with my Wells Fargo points, with the exception of adding in the Signify Cash last year and the Attune. That's always just a slow roller. That's my primary gas card. I may use it more for dining from time to time. But I could live in the garden with Chase and Wells Fargo for a year and rebuild those points. Hotel points, I'm not really worried about. Yes, I have a Hilton card. If I'm starting at zero with them, I'd probably just buy the points and get the 3 times points as well through points.com. Just go with that stack. There are some ecosystems with the banks. I'll just have to be patient with, given how easy Hilton is to just purchase the points and how cheaply they can come. I'm just going to buy the Hilton points. It doesn't make sense to really grind out without adding a Surpass or adding an Aspire for those welcome offers, or adding a Hilton business card for the welcome offer and the 5 times points flat for the first 100,000. But I can just buy Hilton points. The fact that I can always just come back to, I can just buy Hilton points, is always oh yeah, I don't necessarily have to go after that card right now because I can just buy the points. So yeah, Hilton I wouldn't worry about. Hilton and JetBlue, I'm buying the points. Wells, Wells would be a grind, but I have every Wells Fargo card basically, so like I can maximize my spend and make that work. Chase, I would be patient, and I would just go through the Chase portal as often as I could to turn 1.5 or 3 or 5 into whatever I can get out of the retailers that I can buy from through that portal.
Thank you, guys. It makes me feel better about my strategy of just using my cards the way I'm supposed to for the rest of the year, because I will not be traveling really this year. And I won't be spending a ton of extra money this year. So I went from kind of gardening to, oh God, am I in the middle of the Garden of Eden and all I am doing is gardening. So it's a fun time over here.
40 acres and a Blue Business Plus.
Don't eat the apple. Boom.
Also, I totally forgot that I have American Express as an ecosystem, and if that dropped to zero, Rakuten.
You have the blue business. Did you ever add the blue business plus to Rakuten?
Yes,
How long did it take you?
longer than I'm willing to admit. This is bigger than the Blue Business Plus, all right? I'm sorry, I've been watching way too much Kendrick Lamar lately. Um, yeah,
There's
so let's
nothing
move
wrong with that, actually.
let's move on to Lani, your topic this week.
Sure. So last last week, sure, yeah. Last week I released a video talking about strategy changes that I'm taking or that I've made for 2025, and I'm not going to say it triggered anyone, but it made me. It did have a couple people ask why I went directly with a Hilton Aspire versus going through the family language, starting with like honors, moving up to surpass, and then get going to Aspire. This is a conversation that I've had before also with American Express because I never got the green card, never held it, just went straight to gold and then went up to platinum and skipped over the gold. I mean, the green. And so my question is, when you think of strategies and thinking of what works best for not you individually, but as a collective, there is a lot of chatter that says you must follow the family language, or it's best, not you must, but it's best to follow the family language. Do that green, gold, platinum. Do that honor, surpass, aspire. Do the, sorry, Marriott, the boundless whatever to something to the business to the Ritz Carlton and all that, all these different things to like step up these ladders or whatnot. Is that actually worth it? And in a lot of cases, one, that takes a lot of time. In some cases could take a year plus, sometimes 2 years or more. And the other aspect of it is, yeah, you got a lot of applications versus, hey, I want to get the Aspire. I'm going to create this 2 year long strategy or this like I'm going to get this in 3 months, get the next one in 3 months, get the next one in 3 months, or just go get what you want. Now, this is also resonates with some of the points of like RJ and I've made plenty of times is use the cards as what they're used for. And if that's the case, would it be better to follow family language or follow these stair step strategies or just say F it and just go get what you want because that's what works for you? Because I dropped you, RJ, I'm going to start with you first.
So I think it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to get as many points from subs as possible, then yeah, you want to follow family language. You want to start at a green, go to a gold, and then a platinum. If your goal is, hey, I want the platinum because in 2 months I'm taking a trip and I want Centurion Lounge access or Delta Sky Club access or whatever, then you might forego the green and the gold sign up bonuses for the platinum sign up bonus to do what you want to do. So I think we talk too much about certain family language as in you must do it. And it should be said, hey, if you want to hit all three sign up bonuses, this is what you have to do. But if you just want the gold and the platinum because those are the cards you're going to use and you were never going to use the green anyway, then giving up the 40,000 or whatever MR points, I think is okay because in theory, you can make 40,000 MR points off of those two cards depending on how you're spending and depending on what you're doing with them. Especially if you hit, elevated sign up bonuses on both, you're going to make up that 40,000 on those two cards just in elevated sign up bonuses. So I really think it depends, right? Like, if you want all of the Delta miles, then yeah, you need to follow the family language and go from, in theory, blue to gold to platinum to reserve. But if you just want the reserve card for the, companion pass and for lounge access and whatever, then just get the reserve. But know you're giving up that. You might be willing to give up that, but you just have to know that it's something you're giving up, right? So I think it should be talked about for an awareness, but I don't think it should be gospel in that you must do it this way. I think it should just be an awareness point of, hey, if you're going to do this, just know this. If you want the Surpass and the Aspire eventually, then yeah, you should probably start with the Surpass, just in case they throw that family language in there. But if you need the Aspire sooner, go for it.
Tariq.
I think RJ really hit the nail on the head there. I think if you are aware of the opportunity cost based on your decision or your strategy, as long as you're aware of that, it's just dependent on where you want to go. If, like I just said, if you're trying to get all as many points as you can through sign up bonuses or welcome offers or however we want to say it, it may make sense to do the family language. It may make sense if you're trying to get all the MR points, go green, gold, platinum, and then go deal with the business cards if you want to deal with that, because you're trying to get all the MR points. But if you just want to get the platinum for the benefits and don't care about the other sign-up bonuses, get the platinum. If you're willing to give up the sign-up bonuses for the other cards. Because at the end of the day, you can earn points through your spend. It may not be the large chunk of 5 or 6 figures worth of points that you're going to get with the sign-up bonus, but at the end of the day, you're going to accumulate points through your regular everyday spend. So get the cards that's going to work for you in the situation or circumstance that you are in, or the strategy that applies to you. Not everything needs to be, you don't have to listen to everything that everybody says. Family language may apply for you if you're going to go for the points. But if you want the Aspire because you want Hilton Diamond status because you're going to go stay at a Hilton and you want to get the free night certificate, get the Aspire. Simple as that. If you fly Delta and you want the Sky Club access, get the Reserve or get the Platinum. You don't have to worry about the other cards. Now, if you want to potentially do Delta medallion status, sure, maybe adhere to the family language, because then you can kind of work your way up knowing you're going to get the cards whenever. But for the most part, get the cards that you need to fit the holes in your strategy. Point blank, period. Simple as that. No need to complicate it.
And Matt.
So I'm going to start this with this. Family language is to American Express as 524 is to Chase. It's a dumb marketing construct that has us all talking about American Express as you need to follow this in order to get the highest rate of return. I sort of disagree to an extent. I would subscribe to get the card that fits you first and foremost. With American Express specifically, if the green card doesn't fit into what you're trying to do, don't get the green card, start with the gold card. Or if the gold card doesn't fit with what you're trying to do, don't get the gold card, get the platinum card, get the card that fits you best. Now, I would understand if, as RJ said, and as Tariq reiterated, if you're going all in with Delta, right? It makes sense to follow the Delta tree because you want to get as many points as possible with Delta, and transferring from your membership reward point earning cards to Delta is not the smartest way to use your membership reward points. So it makes sense to maximize your return on Delta points to go up the ladder. The ladder is stupid to begin with, in my opinion. But for Delta, you may have to follow the ladder. I don't like that, but it's all a choice, right? The Hilton cards currently are the only family of American Express cards that don't have family language. Now, we all assume that the family language is going to come, but the fact that the honors and the surpass are virtually indistinguishable from each other, with the exception that the surpass has gold status, the surpass earns an extra point per dollar on everything the honors card gives you, and it comes with 4 times points on online spending. If the surpass fits better for you as a companion to the Aspire, get the surpass first. Like, you don't have to do everything in order. unless your strategy is, I need as many points in this ecosystem as possible. If that's your case, then do from the bottom up. The Marriott Bonvoy Bevy. I don't believe there's any use case for the Bonvoy Bevy in any way, shape, or form. The Bonvoy Bevy and its chase counterpart, the Bonvoy Bountiful, are useless. If you want to get into Marriott on the American Express side, get the business if the business fits for you. And I know that RJ's having some issues with business cards. Totally get it. Don't disagree with where she's coming from on it. So if the business card isn't a fit for you, don't get the business card. Just get the Brilliant. Just get the Brilliant. It's gonna be easier for you overall. Yeah, if the cards fit, if the strategy works to get as many points as possible, great. Follow the tree. If the strategy is, I need this card for this value for X, Y, and Z, do that first. So, yeah, this all comes down to family language is to Amex as 524 is to Chase. They're both stupid and they both need to go away. But it's great marketing for each bank respectively. Because it is the thing we have to talk about at the top of every video for cards in each of those ecosystems. Like when we do Marriott videos about the Bevy, which no one should get, or the Brilliant, we have to start with, these are American Express cards. American Express cards have family language. The only American Express cards that don't are the Hilton cards, but we expect that's going to happen. We all say the same thing over and over again with that. When we talk about the gold card or the platinum card or the green card, these are subject to American Express's family language. What's the family language? Well, if you get the platinum card first, then you may not get a welcome offer on the gold, or you may not get a welcome offer on the green card. And then we do another video a couple weeks or a couple months later, or about a year later, about how we're utilizing American Express's upgrade downgrade strategy because, oh, well, we didn't get the points on it the first time, but we downgraded to this card. Didn't get points for the downgrade, but then 30 minutes later, we got an offer in our inbox with American Express that said, jump back to this card and get 50,000, 80,000, 2 billion membership reward points to go back to the card that you had.
What's the spend on the 2 billion MR points? Just asking for a friend.
You have to buy Twitter.
I mean,
Please. And just first things you got to do is get rid of that stupid, what is that, the 24th letter of the alphabet, and bring back the bird. I miss
There's
Twitter.
a reason I said Twitter.
Yes, bring back the bird.
Tariq has
I don't
some feelings
acknowledge
about
its other
this.
name.
Really am going to title this an accidental tech podcast, guys.
I miss the old Twitter, okay? And I hate saying miss the old Twitter because of what Kanye has done on... Anyway, back to credit cards.
Just get off of social media. It's not that hard. I understand people are actually addicted to it.
I was going to say, like, there are studies that point you not correct, sir.
Yeah, I caught myself. But yes, it could be hard. But it's okay to, like, when was the last time you actually fully powered your phone off, folks? Like, think about that.
2008.
Just turn it off.
I don't know. Whenever the last time my phone battery died?
Anyway, I appreciate all of that. And actually, y'all inspired my question for next week.
Ooh.
And it's a good one. And I going to go ahead and give the mic back. I got nothing left to say. I don't know how to segue that, and y'all just left me hanging. So appreciate all three of y'all. So
sorry, I was trying to think of a way to like integrate a mustard and turn that cell phone off, and it was just not working in my head. Tariq,
you're gas.
I did take my foot off the gas.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Turn that cell phone off. All right, there we go. It works. Tariq, your topic.
All right. So I've been kind of off and on the Discord lately. Just life has been lifing. But I happened to check the podcast chat. I think it was Friday after our questions video dropped. And I saw some feedback from Jason S. So shout out to you, Jason, for kind of the inspiration to my topic. And he said that we kind of complicated just the build card. And so it made me think about the credit card game in a whole. And it's the question I have is the credit card game complicated, or we, the community, specifically other Discord servers, credit card YouTube, and God help us, credit card Reddit, do we make the credit card game more complicated than it is? So I wanted to have the open-ended question, and I want to start with RJ on this one because I always like her insightful takes.
So I think, and I said this in our pre-show, and I will say it again, so I apologize to my co-host for having to hear me say this twice. Um, the answer to credit cards is five. Now you can get to the answer of five about 47 billion ways, right? It can be, two plus three, it can be three plus two. It can be, negative numbers plus a larger number than five, and you get there, right? Like there's a lot of ways to get to five. You can bring in letters, you can bring in equations that I was not smart enough to take the math classes for. You can do a lot of things with it. But the answer is still five. And I think that is what we see in the conversations you have is how you want to look at it. If you simply want to look at it of I'm going to use a 2x or a 2% back card for everything. I'm going to take my points from that and I'm going to go do some smaller trips or I'm going to do one large trip every couple of years. There is nothing wrong with that strategy. It might not be the strategy any of us do, but there is nothing wrong with that strategy. And I think, you can bring cents per point in, you can bring buying points in, you can bring, positioning flights in, you can make it more complicated, but you're still getting to the answer of five. And I think sometimes we lose that perspective because finance and things to do with money and credit cards and credit scores and how much you're spending and how tracking your spend and all of that feels very different to us than playing a guitar and buying new guitars every once in a while and our willingness to spend money on a special edition sneaker versus not, or a special edition watch versus not, or a football ticket to a slightly better spot than not, right? And I'm trying to hit as many of us in that as possible. Matt, I have still not figured out your hobbies other than staying in various Marriotts in the New York State area. Anyway, but my point is, I think sometimes if somebody is doing their math differently, even if they're getting to the same answer, I think we all need to back off if that person is happy with how they're doing their math. Because I think there is some assumption that the more complicated you make it, the better you are at playing the game. And I don't think that's always true. I think the problem is that the person doing the most complicated has factored that into their life of the time it takes them to do that, of their specific spend, of I don't take positioning flights much because most of my layovers are in hubs anyway. So me flying to a hub to do a positioning flight doesn't end up actually saving me money in 90% of cases, right? So positioning flights are something that is talked about quite frequently in the community, but it wouldn't save me anything. So that type of math doesn't even come into my equations because it doesn't work for me. So I think that everybody needs to calm down and just stop necessarily judging people who are doing things differently than you if it makes them happy and if they're not doing something questionably, morally questionable or outright illegal or telling other people to do the questionable thing, right? Like if you want to spend every dollar that you output through a Delta card, through the Delta Blue card, right? If you want to do
Ooh.
that, you have a right to do that. And I will support you doing that until you start telling everybody that this is the true path to the number 5, right? Then I'm going to have to say, maybe not, right? But if you want to do that and you're doing it knowingly, I don't have a problem with that. It's when you start telling other people to do this thing. It's when you start, slamming people who use a Delta Gold card or a Platinum or a Reserve or whatever, right? Then we have a problem. But if you are knowingly doing a thing because it's easier, because this is what you want to do, because of whatever, we're fine. I still have a problem if you use 15 gift cards to pay for dinner, but that's a different story. But yeah, I think we make it overly complicated because we believe that the complexity makes us better at the thing, and I don't think that's true.
What if they're MPX gift cards though?
I think when you hit double digits, I think we have a problem.
I usually can only stick to one Mileage Plus X gift card purchase per transaction. If for me, if I have to go get more than one Mileage Plus X gift card, I don't think it's worth it, or I think it's just whatever I'm buying is too expensive.
You would
So
have to do that for if you bought a phone with Apple gift cards, you would have to use like
yeah,
six.
no thanks. I'll just use I'll use an Apple gift card
they,
for Mileage
they
Plus.
don't cap out at 500. I thought they capped out at 500.
I can't pay the
I thought
500.
it was 250, but I might be
No,
thinking of
Mileage
something
Plus
else.
caps out at 500. But I guess Apple isn't too bad if I just put it all towards like the Apple cash balance, but that's neither here nor there. Um, with that being said, I will no longer judge my best friend for using his Wells Fargo Active Cash for everything, but I will still try to use my card for any dinner bills because I get more than 2x. So
If he's doing it knowingly,
he is
you
doing it
gotta
knowingly.
you gotta let it go. If they don't know better, that's different. And if you explain it to them and they're like, "Thank you," and they do something else, cool. But if they say, "Yeah, I just don't want to deal with other cards," then guess what? They're an adult. It's their money at the end of the day. Let them cook.
Completely understand. But I'm still going to try to use my card whenever I can because 3 is greater than 2. And that's
Your
just,
points are more important to you than his points are to you.
he doesn't even use points. He uses just cash back. But that's neither here nor there. Happy that he uses it. At least he's using a 2x catch all and not a, 1x or, debit card. Ugh. Um, Lani, what do you think?
I'm gonna follow RJ on this one and take it one extra step because the game is complicated because we as a community make it complicated. Like we all can laugh and talk about the folks that like have an Amex Platinum and throwing that thing down at a restaurant, and we all cringe because they're not earning, they could be earning more, but those people aren't in the game, and guess what? They're happy, they're fine. They're gonna go home that night and sleep well after that dinner, right? The thing is, and what RJ had mentioned is that the differentiation points are where the intersection and the conflict and the friction all happen. Because I think there are pockets of the community that are just way too prideful to believe that whatever they're doing is best. And if someone else is not doing or agrees with them in that same manner, then you must be doing it wrong. Like we see it here, a couple of great examples. One, my last question about family language, like, oh, you didn't go through the tier system, so you're doing it wrong, right? You're not doing it wrong. That person's just doing what's best for them. Matt and I can't tell you how many conversations that we've had from people that have said the Chase Sapphire Reserve is worthless. Okay, it might be worthless for you, but just because you are on, the majority of people say this is not a card for me, does not mean that it's not a card for me. It's a great card. And I'm not talking about me specifically. I'm just using those two cards or those two scenarios as an example where if we can't learn from each other, and I'm not trying to get like social political here, but most of us became creators or viewers of this community to learn something we didn't know, to pick up bits and pieces left and right, and to learn something that we didn't know. It's the reason why I actually became a creator, because nobody was talking about using credit cards and travel the way that I do. And so I finally got off my butt, hit the record button to say, here's another way of doing things. And I came out the gate hot when I first came out, was like, yo, you can basically use United Miles for everything. And everyone was like, this makes absolutely no sense. And here we are over a year later where people are like, wait a sec, this actually makes a whole lot of sense. You see what I'm saying? And it's only complicated because we made it that way. We're all so like, what I do is the best way to do it, or I'm going to follow the majority of people in this direction. And, I don't want to call us sheep, but if we all do this, then we're doing the best way. Or if I follow the subscriber that has 50,000, 100,000, whatever subscribers, whatever they say has to be right. And so we need to do that. And if you don't do that, then you're doing it wrong, or I'm doing it wrong. And nobody wants to admit that they did something wrong. Tariq, I actually applaud you because you have been very open when you've done something wrong, which is very hard to do nowadays for people to do. And you've been very open about it. And you've eaten that cookie multiple times on this on this podcast.
Look, I eat the cookie and I'm just waiting for the bad salad at this point. But I guess me admitting it's wrong is here's the sad salad, I guess.
But that's the thing, is most people don't do that. They're like, no, I did it the right way, and it's right for me. And that's where I say like the pride part comes in. And when you have pride versus independence, that's that intersection point where things are starting to get complicated. Because like I can talk about United every single week, which I do, especially on this podcast. But someone that doesn't fly United, that is strictly maybe Delta. RJ, I've been using you a lot. I'm going to use you one more time tonight, if you don't mind. As an example only. Someone that like only flies or prefers to fly Delta would be like, could easily be like, yo, no, that's stupid. You should fly Delta. You should do this. You should get this card. You should, go through this airport. I don't want to go through Atlanta. That's far out of my way, no matter where I'm going. Even if I'm flying to Atlanta is out of my way. And so it doesn't work for everyone. But that doesn't mean that X person is doing it wrong. And like I said, we see it all the time, especially around redemptions. This is why I don't like talking about redemptions as much, because you'll probably never get the same redemption as me.
What? You didn't do the backwards point.com special back way? We can get 15 cents per point if you do 5 positioning flights just to go overseas. You're doing it wrong, Lani. You're not playing the game right.
It's like, oh, I just flew to Japan for less than 10,000 miles. And it's like, well, great. You're also way closer to Japan than I am. So you're probably going to get a different price than I will in this first place. So that type of stuff is what makes it complicated. And the thing is, and at least I'm going to speak for myself now, what I try to do is make sure to provide inclusive education that people can take bits and pieces from. No one will ever be able to mirror my strategy. You're never going to be able to clone it, but you can clone 40% of it. You can clone 50, maybe 20, maybe 80, depending on who you are. But I have experience, which I feel I could help others with. And that's all I want to do. Just like, borrow from me, take what you can, and then move on. And anyone watching this is probably in the same boat of every single person that's watching this is watching from a different location, unless you're sitting next to somebody on their phone watching this exact same podcast right now. You're in a different location, right? Which means two different scenarios in getting things done. And that part's okay. That does not mean that whatever we say is exactly how you have to do it, or whatever someone else says is exactly how you have to do it, or you're wrong and someone else is right. No, just take the education, take the time, take the bits and pieces, and learn what works best for you and apply that to yourself individually, and then clear out all the other noise.
Like it. I like it. Also, speaking of borrowing strategy from you, Lani, if you ever hear me talk about me upgrading my Sapphire Preferred to Sapphire Reserve, it's because of you. Because I've thought about it, but the price tag is not there for me yet. Anyway, Matt, let's go ahead and bring it home, and then you can segue straight to your topic after that.
By the way, that price tag's only ever going to go up.
I know. I'm just poor.
Fair. So is the credit card game really that complicated? No, it's not. It is as complicated as you, the credit card user, are willing to make it. As RJ said, if you want to just live your life as earning a flat 2 times points on everything or 2% cash back on everything and you're happy, congratulations. Like there's nothing that will necessarily change that. Now, you may start thinking, "Hey, I spend a lot on this category. Could I be getting more than 2%?" Now you're starting to let the wheel spin on ways to improve what you're doing. And maybe that leads you to watching YouTube. Maybe that leads you to going on to credit Reddit, which credit card Reddit is a place. You know, then things can start getting complicated. Potentially needlessly so. So here, the YouTube community, I think, is trying to make credit cards and the credit card game as easy as is reasonable. However, I do think there is needless overcomplication to things on YouTube. Then there's the greater credit card community beyond YouTube. If you go into the MyFICO forums, if you go into Flyer Talk, if you go onto the r/churning subreddit, if you go to the credit card subreddit, there is a level of gatekeeping on those in those spaces that is frankly terrifying. But there's also a lot. I haven't even talked about like the manufactured spend side of things. Like there are whole other facets of this community that is trying to make a buck by trying to buy a dollar for a penny. And skirting as many rules as they can, going around doing lots of things, right? And if you want to learn about those things, there are ways.
You won't find it on Stack Your Points, I'll tell you that much.
No, not necessarily. Not at all. But does the community like to overcomplicate the game? I don't think the community likes to overcomplicate the game, but I do think there are sections of the community that are all about overcomplicating the game. And if you want to go find those sections, great. Just know what you're getting into. I do think there are things here on YouTube where it's like, really? Do we? Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll talk about that in my topic. But again, like to the individual, the credit card game is only as complicated as you make it. If you're willing to play the game, there are many facets there are many paths that you can take. There's no one true path. There's no enlightened way of getting like 5% on everything as hard as people try, right? There's no way to get 5x on everything or 10x your life or whatever, right? Unless you just make your life about doing welcome offers all the time. And that's one path. But not everybody's going to follow that path. Not everybody is going to go trying to 4x things or 3x everything because the time value, like your time is probably not worth investing into 5xing all the things. Um, if you have that kind of time, cool. If you don't have that kind of time, make time for what you're willing to make time for. If you don't want to do that level of research, don't do that level of research. If you're perfectly content with the cards that you have, cool. If you think that maybe it's time to look into something else that's going to make this part of my travel day better because travel day is sacred, and dang it, I have been sitting at the gate for far too long all the time, then go look at ways to make your travel day better. Um, Now, of course, that leads to now the lounges are full, just as full as the gates, and now we have nowhere to put people. But that's a whole other problem in and of itself. Um, but yeah, no, the game is only as complicated as you're willing to make it, and there are folks in this community who like to make things really complicated, and there are folks who like to make things really complicated for other people because it works for them and they insist that it is the way to go. You don't need 14 custom caches. I'm sorry. You don't need to dictate to people that the only card they should ever carry is a card that's no longer available or a card that gives you this certain multiplier that your grandfather into. Right? The Sears card stopped giving thank you points years ago. Don't dictate that people need to use the Sears card that gives you thank you points. Doesn't exist anymore. Um, yeah, no. Play the game at the level that you're willing to play the game at. If you're willing to learn more, great. YouTube is a really great resource for it. There's a bunch of creators who can tell you all sorts of things on all sorts of ecosystems, right? You can watch Lani for United and learn that United points are really the only points you need in life. You can, also talk to Lani about how the Chase Sapphire Reserve is really the only travel credit card you need in life. You can check out RJ with, here are cards that are currently available. Here are ways that those cards could be better because those cards should always be looking into being better. You can watch my silly self about like, hey, here's some facets of news that I found. Here's my opinions on them. And I'll give you opinions on cards that are objectively just like, okay, I understand where he's coming from. I don't necessarily agree because I will hound on about $95 cards being subpar across the board. That doesn't mean that the $95 card doesn't fit what you're going to do. I just think that the $95 cards should be better. And then there's the co-brand cases and all of that. But like there are creators across the spectrum. You can watch folks highlight Marriott. You can watch folks highlight Aeroplan. You can watch folks highlight pay yourself back specifically with Aeroplan. You can find folks talk about American Express, gamifying American Express, and then gamifying Chase to the extent that you can gamify Chase. But again, at the end of the day, if you're listening to this podcast, you're interested in a layer of the credit card game that goes above, I'm just going to pay everything on one card and not worry about anything past that. Right. And we appreciate it. But like there's also going to be that person who's going to just use their 2x card and be happy. And there's going to be that person who has 57 custom caches and still can't be happy. It just is what it is. But yeah, I don't know that the game community likes to overcomplicate things, but I do think that, things get overcomplicated because people need to feel right.
Appreciate it, guys. That's some good takes. All right, Matt, go ahead.
Thank you. As Lani was saying earlier, this is kind of like the American Express focus show. And one thing that American Express is known for, in watching YouTube videos, they've died down over the last year or so because things have maybe petered out some with regards to this. Um, but one thing that they're known for is the retention offer. And there are folks who will go to American Express every single year and ask for a retention offer. There are folks who will go to US Bank every year and ask for a retention offer on the US Bank Altitude Reserve. Or in some cases, as I've found, there are folks who will call the Altitude Reserve line and say that they haven't gotten their customer appreciation points for the Altitude Reserve, but apply that to another card. Because this is a thing that US Bank allows, apparently. I would say you don't need a retention offer every year. And if you need a retention offer every year for a card, you probably don't need that card. Like, if you're not deriving value every year, either from credits from American Express or through the use of your card with US Bank or with any other company that you go to hat in hand every year and beg for points or beg for, and I'm not saying it's begging, but like, you don't need to ask for your business to be retained every year. If you do, if you have that compulsion, I would posit that you don't need that card, and you should probably get rid of that card more often than not. Now, with American Express, there's other ways you can play the game, but retention offers. I'm just going to say I don't think you need a retention offer every year on every card that you can get one on. Now, I say that as someone who doesn't get retention offers and doesn't have a card that really is known for getting retention offers. But Lani, you're an American Express card holder. Have you felt the compulsion to ask for a retention offer? Where are you on the retention offer facet of things?
I have never asked American Express for a retention offer, but not to say that I wouldn't. And the reason why I only have, well, now I have four, but before, uh, literally a couple of weeks ago, a couple months ago, I only had three. My very first credit card I ever got, that student card that I've mentioned before, that $0 and Amex won't close it. So I'm just letting it help my credit score forever until they
Yeah.
decide to do so. And then 2 years ago, I got the gold. And then almost a full year ago, so last April, I got the platinum. That's it. So if anything, I could only really ask for a retention offer on the gold, and I actually use that card. So all Amex will have to do is call my bluff, and I'm sitting there with egg on my face. So,
Right.
and I haven't had the platinum for a year yet. So that's just shooting myself in the foot if I try calling right now, because they're going to take all their points back. Anyway, now I also agree you don't need a retention offer, but in a slight vein, most people aren't really calling for a retention offer to keep their business. They're using it as
Yeah.
a strategy of like, oh, let me get something extra out of this. But the thing is anyone that has tried to get a retention offer, and I'm not going to, I just said I didn't do it with Amex. I'm not going to say I never did it with Chase. Um, the banks have come onto this. They understand that. They know that, hey, it must be Thursday. Tariq's going to call and ask for a retention offer. Like, you got to think, like, every time you call in, they're putting something on your file. Like, Matt called in for a retention offer. Matt called in because he's missing points. Matt called in to dispute a charge on his account. Like, they have your accounts. They keep access. Just because you talk to someone different every single time does not mean that stuff's not being cataloged onto your account. So, two things actually. The first thing is, if you are consistently calling in for retention offers, they're going to call your bluff. They're going to say, this dude's calling wolf, give him absolutely nothing and see what happens. So like, all right, we're not going to give you anything. You still want to cancel it? No. Well, guess what? They're going to put that on your file. Like, don't give him nothing because he's actually not going to use it. they also see that you're using your card. So like for me and my MX Gold, I would shoot myself in the foot to call and be like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting rid of it. And what can you guys offer me? They're gonna call wolf on me because they're gonna be like, bruh, no, you actually use this card. Like, we'll give you 5,000 MR points if you keep it. And it's like, that's like a drop in the bucket to them, right? And that's if they give me anything. I'd expect them not to. And RJ can, hey RJ, how you doing? And RJ could probably corroborate this by saying, yeah, in my case, like the way that I actually use my card, they're probably not going to give me anything. Now, if I didn't use my gold card for 6 months straight and called in after paying the annual fee,
Right.
maybe. But if I call in, oh, I just got my annual fee hit, right? And 6 days later, I'm calling in saying, I'm not, what can you guys offer me? And they look at my account and be like, this dude just paid us like $400 a month for the last 6 months. He ain't canceling this card. They're going to call him a bluff. Let's call it what it is. They're going to call him a bluff. The second part of that is that there's this thing called YouTube. I don't know if any of y'all have heard about it, but we're all on here talking about, going back to Tariq's question, making things complicated, all these things that we're out here and how to win the game and win the system. Guess what? People that work at Amex are watching. And the ones that are not like execs at the high level, the ones that are actually working and handling the phone calls, taking that data, they're probably watching because they're about to get promoted because they're about to save the company a whole bunch of money. We're killing it for ourselves until we have to pivot and create another strategy and how to do it. So all these retention offers are starting to go away anyway, or at least started to be diminished, which is why upgrade downgrade is becoming so popular right now over the last year or so, because it's a turnaround. It's a plan B to a retention offer that you probably wouldn't get. So no, do you need a retention offer? I would say, going back to use your cards the way they're supposed to be used, use a retention offer the way it's supposed to be used. If you are literally on the fence, then sure, ask for a retention offer. Like, yeah, I don't really use it that much anymore. Maybe I could, like, if you entice me, I might keep it for like at least another year or so. I'm like, all right, sure. That's a legit retention offer. But when you're like, yep, it is 12 months, minute to midnight, you're like, yeah, Tariq's about to call for a retention offer. Watch. And then the phone rings. Be like, told you so. Give him nothing. And put him in pop-up jail. Sorry, Tariq. But that's it's hypothetical, bro.
At this
It's
point,
hypothetical.
I'd still take the card, man. That's how down bad I am right now.
Tariq, are you wearing a magnet this week? Because you're catching all the strays.
I used his name in a hypothetical. I am not throwing there are no strays. There are no shots fired over here. But thinking of pop-up jail, maybe this is why so many people are in pop-up jail and no one actually knows how to get out of it, is because we're all on YouTube talking about how we're gaming the system, and they're like, I know. And Matt, you use your full government name. They can find you way easier.
All right, American Express does L3 level data. Like, they know how much I'm using my card. They also know that I'm not actively using my Hilton Honors card. That's more likely than not my authorized user, but there's still spend going through that card. And it's not Hilton Honors. Like, I can't ask for a retention offer on an annual fee card when I don't pay annual fees to American Express.
Basically. So yeah, that's where I would say, like, use it as it's supposed to be used before it gets nerfed. Long story short.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And I'm not here to say that there's no reason for retention offers to exist. Like, they should exist, obviously, but like, it should be the case of the person who stopped using their card for 6 months. Well, what happened? I'm fed up with doing the credit game. I'm fed with trying to use all the credits on the card. Like, I know about the credits, they're just not working for me. I don't spend on this card because another card I've been focusing on other cards. Those
Yeah.
things can matter. Um,
I
Calling every year is ridiculous.
I think you made one really great point because I've done this. I've been in the game long enough to know, like, when before previously, like, you could call in for a retention offer. As you had mentioned, like, I haven't used the card in 6 months. I'm not really interested in, all the credits or using the game, or maybe I'm not using that brand, or if it's a co-branded card or whatever. I don't
Hmm.
stay there. I don't fly with them anymore. When you used to call in for a retention offer, they used to waive the annual fee. Like, that was the original retention offer. It was like, you know what? If you keep, we'll waive the $95. We'll waive the $200 to $300 if you just keep it one more year. And those have already changed. Like, look at it now. Retention offers are, if you keep it, we'll give you X thousand points after you spend another, put some more money back on the card, put Y dollars back on the card. Like, that never used to be the way. It used to be like, all right, yeah, we'll just waive the thing, hopefully you keep it and we'll see what happens. Now it's a new sign up bonus, really. And that's because I think, well, one, times have changed, things evolve. But the other aspect of it is going back to P&L, the bank, the issuers were all like, we're waiving the annual fee, and they're just like walking away. We're not making any money. So they got to put some spend on the card.
Yep.
And then somewhere in there, they do some math. Some algorithm says Matt's worth $2,000 and 30 points. And then I could call in and I'm worth $5,000 for 15.
Yeah. RJ, your thoughts here.
So there are very, 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 very few things in the credit card game that are needs. Like, very few. Like, I need a non-Amex if I go overseas because I'd like to be able to swipe my card, right? Like, that is a need, right? But do you need a retention offer? No. Like, the sun ain't gonna stop shining, the birds are not gonna stop singing, like, the world is not gonna stop spinning on its axis. Like, it's not gonna happen if you don't get a retention offer. I agree with Lani strongly that I think one of the problems in the credit card game is like everybody's telling everything to everyone all at once. And the problem is not necessarily that they're giving the information, but they're making it seem normal. They're making it seem like, well, everybody else is asking for a retention offer on every single card, every single year. Everybody is downgrading and then upgrading afterward. Like, because they're making it seem so normal, a bunch of people who don't actually know what they're doing are doing it, and overwhelming customer service with their being perhaps a little bit ruder. Like, those things are tracked. Like, customer satisfaction is tracked. How customers interact. There are algorithms they will run for the tone of the person who is texting with the representative or the tone of the person on the phone. That is all data that these companies have. I don't work in banking, but I work in an industry where, like, they will literally tell you how happy the person is based on their tone and the scores they give after calls. Like, these are data these companies have. So, because of that, people calling in and being a jackass to the representative, that's something that is noted. Like, it might not necessarily change that specific person's answer, but if enough people are calling in and being rude about retention offers specifically, that might nudge the banks in one way or another. That might tighten up restrictions because they're like, hey, like, people aren't calling in good faith. And calling in good faith will get you much farther than I spend 2 grand a month on this card, so give me a retention offer. Well, you're spending 2 grand a month on it, so you're on the gold card for groceries, so you're already getting 8,000 points a month. So why are we giving you a retention offer on that? Like, these are what these banks think. If you're using your Resi credit every month, if you're using your Dunkin' credit every month, if you're using all of these credits every month, no, they're not going to give you a retention offer because you're getting the benefits of the card. Like, you're getting what you're paying for. Literally, you're getting what you're paying for. So I think that people feel entitled to these because they watch a YouTube video about how somebody got 150,000 points in 5 retention offers, and they think, oh, I should be able, if, you know, X person was able to do that, and then I should be able to do that. What do you mean, representative, that you won't do this for me? I saw it on YouTube. It's got to be true. And I think that becomes the problem, right? Like somebody will watch a video and the person making the video could be doing it in good faith. Like they could be wanting to share this, but either the way it's presented or the way it's interpreted gives somebody a sense of entitlement to this is normal, this should happen. If it doesn't happen, then it's Amex like being a jackass. So I think that people have gotten more entitled with this because their budgets are tighter, right? People want the most and feel entitled to the most, so they're acting the most, right? But the problem is Amex doesn't owe you anything. Amex owes you the terms of service for the credit card that you agreed to sign up for. They owe you the credits on the card. They owe you the interest rate on the card if it's a card with an interest rate. If you've turned that on for any of the charge cards or it's just a regular credit card, they owe you certain, protections. They owe you certain benefits. They do not owe you a retention offer. They do not, you are not entitled to upgrade, downgrade games. You're not entitled to any of that. That is something that I think we have all bought into, some more than others, but they don't owe you jack spit at all. They don't owe you. They don't. I get it. You want to put one up on the bank because it will make you feel better. They don't owe you anything. You being a loyal customer since 2021 or 2097 or, 1964, thank you for your service. If you don't want to pay the annual fee and you use the card every month, that's a you problem. That is not an Amex problem or a Chase problem or a Citi problem or a Cap One problem or whoever problem. It's not. It's not. So no, you are not entitled to a retention offer every year. You're not even entitled to a sign-up bonus with Amex always. So like if you didn't get the sign-up bonus, you use the card every month and then you ask for a retention offer, my dude, what do you expect? I bring it to you, my dude, what do you expect?
Also, given some recent events, they may not even need to follow the terms and conditions on the cards that they presented you.
We're going to go that they're going to abide by the terms of service. Now, they might change those terms of service to suck more, but I do believe they go by the terms of service. Again, they might change them to suck more, to be determined.
Yeah. Um, Tariq, your thoughts here?
Okay, so I only have one Amex card. It's probably going to be the only Amex card I have for a while. It has an annual fee, but I unintentionally played the upgrade downgrade game with the card because I upgraded it, got a upgrade bonus, downgraded because I wasn't really using the card for the benefits. And when I realized I was going to use the card again, I upgraded it, got like a small little upgrade offer, $75, whatever. When I think of retention offers through like especially through American Express, I look at it as just like an attempt. It's just another attempt at a sign-up bonus. Like you're trying to get as many points as you can. You're trying to get that little hit. Like even for me, I haven't hit a sign-up bonus in a while. I'm looking for my next hit, but I see that as like, yeah, I'm looking. This is for the next hit. But with all the data that you see, we see like literally like when you're going through the messages, Amex will be like, well, you use X bonus, X benefit, Y benefit, Z benefit, and you spent this much on the card. And what it comes to is whenever you're calling for a retention offer, you're basically playing chicken with the American Express or whatever bank you're going to use because you're going to go up in there and you're going to be like, hey, I am thinking about canceling the card, knowing you're probably not going to cancel the card, and you're trying to ask for this retention offer, and American Express is going to pull up your receipts and see, oh, you maxed out the Uber benefit. You maxed out your dining benefit. Oh, you used the Resy credit. Oh, you spent this much on dining and this much on groceries. Um, do you sure? I mean, we can offer you something. We'll offer you 1,000 points if you spend $5,000. And you're gonna be like, no, that sucks. And you're like, well, I hate to see you go. You sure you're gonna cancel the card? And you're gonna be like, whoa, 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 I'm not canceling the card. But then now American Express is gonna look at you like, well, oh, you were considering canceling the card. We gave you a retention, like offered you a retention offer. You didn't like it, so we assume that you're gonna cancel the card. And then you gotta go back to wherever you came from with your tail tucked in between your legs, feeling defeated, knowing that you didn't get the retention offer that you want. And you got either one or two options. You're either going to have to keep the card, you're going to take it to the chin, or you're actually going to cancel the card. Oh, and guess what? You're not going to get, you now you have to wait who knows how long to get the card, especially if you're using it. So there's better ways to earn points. I'm not playing chicken with the banks because they hold more power than I do. And the last thing I want to do is get myself stuck in a situation where I unintentionally cancel a card that is like a daily driver. So a lot of it goes out to the gold card people. If you have the card and you use it, just roll with the punches, eat the fee. If you don't like the fee and you can get a value from another card, use a different card. But stop trying to play the retention offer game. It's especially because credit card community is basically a whole community of kiss and tell. Uh, they're gonna find out. No one can hold their water, and there's some smart creators that will put it behind a members only paywall. But even the people that pay for the members only paywall can still find out and still try to do it, and we're back to square one again. So good luck if you do it, but don't complicate the game that it already needs to be. So that's all I got.
Now, again, I don't want this to sound like we're all just bashing on American Express. American Express just happens to be the most well-known company that offers retention offers. Other banks do offer retention offers or will from time to time potentially allow you to have your annual fee waived. It's just Amex does it the most. And I know US Bank will do things, but like half the time, I'm not sure US Bank knows what they're doing. They
If
definitely
I
don't know what they're doing with reward structures.
Does
if I
US
go,
Bank know the representatives have the power to do the things that the US Bank representatives do? That's the question.
The US Bank representatives know they have the power. Upper management, I'm not 100% sure. And middle management, they have no clue what's going on.
honestly, even if
Just
I knew
three-card Monty.
Chase did a retention offer, if I even bothered trying to call for a retention offer, I'm sure they'd just laugh in my face and be like, bro, you just tried to apply and call reconsideration for this United card, and you're going to try to pull this retention offer crap? Get out of my face. And I feel like that's exactly how it will go with the customer service line. So,
Um, all right. So thanks everyone for that. I I just had that crawling in my head for the last couple of days, so I'm glad that y'all agree. So yeah, that'll do it for our topics. If you like what we do here on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Please drop us a comment on the main show and drop your questions in the question show if you have any. Uh, Lani, if folks wanted to find you on the internet, where's the best place to find you?
You can find me right here on YouTube or call me Lani. All one word, Lani spelled Lani. And if not there, the Stacking Points Discord. Just drop me a DM or at me, whichever.
There you go.
They both work.
Tariq, best place to find you?
definitely going to be the Stacking Points Discord and Reeks Rewards as well. If they're here for the riot, I will bring a fire extinguisher for your for your torches. So yeah, I know broken record. The record player will get fixed eventually.
And RJ, best place to find you.
Stack Your Points Discord, probably telling people they're overthinking their math. That's my thing lately. Well, not lately, always.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely invite you to join the Stack Your Points Discord. We leave a link in the description as always. We put the show out on YouTube here on Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesday is the main show, Friday is the question show. We put the full audio available on Saturdays on the podcatcher of your choice. So please drop us 5 stars in the podcatcher of your choice to help us grow the brand there as well. Thank you so much for watching or listening this week. We look forward to seeing you next week.